Hi, Gareth Davis from UCC Coffee. You're in the market for a new coffee machine. So I want to help you with how you decide what is going to be right for your business. So we'll start with what is your vision, and it's really what is everybody's vision when they go in to start in a coffee offer. So number one is going to be, we want to serve great coffee. Pretty obvious really, but without great coffee we don't get customers. This is a key part of your vision. Number two, we want to grow and succeed. Great coffee is going to help you do that, amongst other things. And number three, it's to be happy. Have a successful business without any of the stress. That's the ideal, to be happy. Now, the type of equipment that you choose is going to play a big part in how you achieve your visions or what dictates your success. So we've got three types of coffee machine. You've got automatic equipment, that is bean to cup, coffee in the top, milk in the side, push a button, you make a great cappuccino. Semi-automatic, very similar, except you put the coffee in the top, it has a steam arm, you make your milk, you put those two things together, you make a great cappuccino. And finally, a traditional machine and a grinder. So slightly more manual, but you have a traditional machine with a separate grinder. The machine and the grinder make the espresso. You have another person making the milk, and those two things go together and you make a great cappuccino. So all of them currently are making what we want, a great cappuccino. Now, one of the things we don't consider when we're picking a machine like this is, well, what does it mean to run it? So at a site level, what has got to be your commitment to achieving great coffee consistently? So there are variables that we need to consider, things you have to do to make the machine work. Now, if we start with automatic, there are 4 things that you have to do. And this is every day, every cup. And I can tell you actually what they are. That is, we want to put fresh coffee in the machine. We want to use cold, fresh milk. We want to keep the machine clean. And we need to keep an eye on that grinder being in the right place for a great extraction. So 4 things that we are responsible for day to day, cup to cup. Then we move to semi-automatic. So this is the machine that's got the steam arm. So this jumps up to 13 things. It's the same 4 things as we've got with automatic, except now we've got some complexity because we've got to get the technique for getting the milk right. So that adds an additional 9 things that we need to get right every day, cup to cup. Traditional equipment is a further jump. Obviously, this is a much more manual process. So with that, we've got the same 4 things, but we've got an additional 16 things, half of which are for making the espresso manually, and the other half are for making the milk. So you can see as we move through this equipment, your complexity for achieving consistency increases dependent on the type of equipment that you've got. And the critical thing to remember here, this is not a once a week or once a month thing. This is every day, cup to cup. Definitely worth bearing in mind. But what are the benefits for these equipments? So, I mean, if we start with automatic, the benefit of an automatic machine is obviously we've got very low complexity. That allows us to be very consistent, using very little resource to achieve that consistency. Semi-automatic, so we've got a little bit more resource now because obviously we need somebody on the machine to make the milk. But this is fantastic for high volume, and we get that bit of theatre from creating the milk. So it gives us, it also gives us a lot more flexibility, you know, with what type of milk am I going to use, you know. So whereas you don't have that sort of flexibility with automatic equipment. And then we go to traditional. So what are the benefits? Well, the primary benefit is theatre. Customer perception, which is very important. But we do need to consider that we obviously need more resource for this. It can achieve high volume, but you've got to have people on the machine to achieve it. So they all have, in their own right, big benefits that can offer you for what's right for your business. Now, outside of the benefits and outside of the variables, one of the key drivers for picking the machine for your business is often cost. Now, the thing with the equipment that we've got is what you'll see is traditional equipment generally is the most cost effective, cheapest. Semi-automatic gets a little more expensive and automatic is the most expensive. It's also the same for maintaining this equipment. So that's your front end cost. But we need to think about, well, what is it going to cost me to run these machines day to day? So your costs and the elements that we need to consider are listed here. So number one, we've already talked about we need people to run certain machines. So there's a cost to that resource. So with an automatic machine, your cost for resource is very low. Traditional, it's very high, and that needs to be calculated and considered. Number two, training. We can see we've got 20 variables with traditional and 13 with semi-automatic. So we know we need more training for these machines than we're ever going to need for this type of machine. Now, if you have an appetite and a structure to deliver and execute that training, fantastic. This is the right equipment for you. But it's a factor. You can't achieve great coffee or consistency unless you commit to training on the type of equipment you've got. Then we've got manager involvement. Now, this is an important one. As you move through the variables, you can see the amount of things that a team member could do wrong, the amount of corners that could be cut are actually increased as you move from auto to semi-automatic to traditional. The manager absolutely needs to have their eye on the ball with all of these machines, but definitely more so with semi-automatic and traditional. Do your managers, are they set up, do they have an appetite to get stuck in when it comes to the coffee machine and the coffee offer that you have? And then waste. So waste is something that, a little bit of milk each day adds up to a lot of milk for cost at the end of the year. Very little, if any, waste with automatic. You put the right amount of coffee in the top, the right amount of milk in the fridge on the side, and there's no reason to waste it. Whereas with traditional, we're putting the milk, and with semi-automatic, we put in the milk in the jug, and of course any milk that's left over goes in the sink. Quite often around the grinder area, you'll find coffee on the counter. All of that adds up to a huge amount over the 4 or 5 years that you're going to be using this equipment. So again, it's a calculation that needs to be considered. So don't just think about the front end cost, also consider what is it going to cost to run it. So to conclude, what are we going to say about the equipment? Well, number one, all of these machines can help you achieve your vision. All of them are going to deliver great coffee. All of them can help you grow and succeed your business. And all of them are going to make you happy if you're using them correctly. But the second point from a conclusion perspective, and this is the most important question, is what is right for you? Have a think about it.